Good evening, everyone. Today is November 4th. Oh, God, it's November already. Today, we are having our 10th podcast. This is our second, actually, collegiate edition. I'm happy to have with us, as always, Keith Kennedy down below me over there. But
Hello.
our special guests, today we have Courtney James from DePaul Esports and Kamil Gebis, who is actually a student at DePaul. So thank you guys for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yep, happy to be here.
Maybe known or unknown fact, depending on how long you've been around. Kamil was actually one of my students at Taft. And how many years did you play? 2 years of league?
Yeah, I think so. 2 years,
Yeah.
my junior and senior year.
Junior and senior, yeah. Did you try out your freshman year?
No.
Okay, because one of your friends tried out and he made the varsity team that year. But then you guys didn't come back until junior year, and you guys all came back that year, I think. So, but yeah, it's not just we'll reminisce a little bit as we talk about here and talk about how collegiate esports is, and get into a little bit more about Kamil. But we're gonna start with Courtney. Thanks again for being here. We just kind of want to have a little conversation for you to talk to the students in Illinois, for anyone who might have an interest in going to DePaul. What might they be looking for when they join DePaul and then want to be part of the esports program?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing that I would say, Amy, and I think especially the way that we look at it, there's this old phrase in the NCAA that that athletes were going to go career in something other than sport. And what we find is that a lot of our students who participate in esports and gaming are going into careers that aren't necessarily being pro gamers. So I think one of the things that really makes DePaul distinct as a university in Illinois is we really have phenomenal academic programs, and a lot of those tie directly to esports and gaming. So, just like the NCAA used to say that you can go pro in something other than sport, we have the opportunity to allow students to learn that academic knowledge that can help them be a leader in this industry. So we have a world-class, nationally ranked College of Computing and Digital Media that students are learning about game design and computer programming and all of the ins and outs of that. But we also have classes that are starting to pop up in other majors and other academic focuses. So our College of Business has an esports business class that you can learn the ins and outs of the industry and learn from pros in the field and marketing and other topics that come in and help teach directly. So I think one of the things that really makes DePaul distinct and our program distinct is really that partnership between that academics and the co-curricular, the fun side of this too. So yeah, Todd, I hope that answers a little bit of your question.
Yeah, that's good. Well, what games do you support at like the varsity level as well? That way, kids know where they fit with the game that they are playing.
So we have 6 varsity titles this year. We compete in League of Legends, which Kamil does, Rocket League, Overwatch, Valorant, Smash, and Beat Saber. Sorry, it took me a second. My brain's a little bit slower today. So those 6 titles we have varsity teams for. But then we also have JV and academy level teams for a variety of different titles. So like our Smash team has a JV team. Our Valorant team has a JV team. League of Legends has a very robust program. They actually have academy and JV level teams. They have 5 teams total. So in total, between our academy, JV, and varsity level, we have around 22 teams that students can be a part of. Plus, we have a whole recreational part of our community as well. If you get to college and you don't want to compete on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis, you can still participate in the recreational side of things too.
That's awesome. How many kids are a part of your program in total?
Yeah, so our competitive teams, we sit right around 140 when we have all of our rosters filled. But when we bring in our recreational side of the house and when our gaming center is open, we actually have 1,300 students who are part of the community here at DePaul. So I think that's really distinct because 1,300 students at a school of, about 16,000 undergrads, about 10% of our students are student gamers. And I think that's really important because one of the best parts of, I think, why we do esports in general is because it helps students find their place, and it helps students to find people that they can connect to and that they can relate to. And we've got a lot of those at DePaul. You know, we have 1,300 students who are part of this community, and not everybody says that. A lot of places only say that their program is only open to the top tier varsity level competitors, and that's not how we approach it at DePaul. We welcome everyone, you know, whether, again, you want to play recreationally and casually, or if you want to play at a varsity level. If you have that talent, you have that opportunity to try out for those teams too.
Yeah, I think that's really important to showcase that, you know, how old your program is? 2 years? This is your third year now, right?
Yeah, we officially started in April 2018, so we're right at little over 2.5 years.
Yeah, so, you know, for being only 3 years in and already having 10% of the population of your school be participating in it, I think that's something that's gigantic in the collegiate, you know, realm, especially at such a prestigious school like DePaul. It's not like it's, you know, a random, you know, school that is an esports type school and that's all they do and that's their one thing. But like, it's DePaul. They're known for a lot more than just, you know, esports, and they're now starting to make a name for themselves in esports. And I think that's really awesome that you have this good program and you're trying to you know, grow it not just with the competitive side and the varsity side, but also with the recreational side to give those students a place to go to. And I think that's why we created esports organizations here in Illinois, is because we noticed all the kids that wanted to have that connection to someone else, and they just, you know, didn't know who to go or where to go to. You know, when I first did our League of Legends very first meeting at Taft, you know, I was expecting like maybe to get 30 kids or so when I was saying I'm going to start a League of Legends club, this and that. And we had 90 something kids show up, almost 100 kids show up. We filled an entire room, and I didn't expect that. I was like, oh my God, this thing is so much bigger than it was. And then, you know, going down to RMU for LAN and seeing all this. And I think you actually, right when you guys got started, like literally, I think that was one of your first things was coming over to our LAN to talk to the coaches and see all the kids and everything.
Man, that RMU LAN was fun. It's really fun to have LAN events in general. I really wish we could do more of them right now, but that's not happening.
Yeah.
Well, and, you know, I think Kamil can probably speak to this too. He's a member of our varsity League of Legends team. Esports has been really spectacular because it's given this chance for students to have this identity and pride in a, you know, a non-formal athletic type of way, right? Like for so long, people identified, you know, our logo or jerseys or all of those different things with traditional sports. But now it's this whole new connection. And Kamil can probably speak to this. He competes as, a varsity member in our League of Legends team. We compete in the Big East. So against, you know, schools like Villanova, Butler, Creighton.
But you're not in the East.
What was that?
But you're not in the East.
No, we're not. But we're also not the furthest west, or the furthest west. Creighton has us beat there.
Creighton plays in the Big East?
Yep. It's like, it's a little spattering. Most of them are in the Big East. It's like St. John's in New York. Most of them are right on the East Coast, but then there's a couple that pull through, like Xavier's in Ohio and Butler's in Indiana, and then us, and then Creighton is the furthest out west. But yeah.
East is a very rough term, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like the Big Ten, and then there was like the secondary Big Ten, and then
was the Big 12 or something?
Yeah, and then there was like 14 schools in the Big Ten at some point. It's like, well, why is it called the Big Ten anymore? So, but Kamil, yeah. So how is college esports? Like this is your junior year, correct?
Yeah. I wanted to add on to the whole community thing where I came into DePaul in 2018, which is where like the program began. And it honestly has like made me feel like part of the community, because otherwise there's not much I would fit into, because I'm not into like traditional sports like Courtney mentioned. And then seeing so many people part of our esports program is really motivating, even to just improving as a player or just someone that's casual. Like there are times where before the whole coronavirus thing, we would be sitting in the esports lab that we have, and we'd just be sitting there playing Smash or something. And it's just like the feel of it is really endearing.
Yeah, that local hosted environment is really different. And my school got us a lab last year. We were founded in 2018. We got a lab for last year, and I've noticed that building morale and building camaraderie is a lot harder online after having experienced a lab environment. I'm very lucky that a lot of my returning players are helping keep that culture going, but it's very hard to establish that with new players and new teams. Now I can't see them. These kids don't even know what I look like yet.
Especially like I can speak for that because just playing tournaments in person, sitting next to people, like you're all just 5 in a row. It's just something about that atmosphere changes how you play versus now where we're at home.
It's a whole different shift. It's like my players would walk in the room for a match day. It's like a light switch, where they've gone from school mode, they walk in the lab, it's match time, and they just get serious. And it's such a different environment, and I really miss it. But at the same time, I understand that reasonable precautions have to be made.
Yeah, and so just to circle back around, how hard is it for you to juggle, Kamil, between your collegiate course load and being on the varsity League of Legends team?
Well, it's definitely a lot harder than what it was in high school because I'm a major in neuroscience, so there is a lot of science classes, obviously, that I have to prioritize over esports, and it does affect how I play because I don't have as much time as other people to grind out the actual game because I'll be sitting there for 24 hours trying to do a lab or working on a bunch of different classes together for the next week or something.
Yeah, so obviously you were fairly busy because you were an IB student, so you were in a lot of tough classes in high school, but even in college, you're still struggling to manage your time between league and your courses.
Yeah, I would say so. Now, back in IB, it was rigorous, but there's more so a lot of easier things to do. There's just a lot. But now I'm trying to actually learn these things. I'm trying to progress in what I could see as a career. So I have to put a lot more importance into those things and actually learn the content on top of also being in an esports community.
Yeah, definitely. And I always see that struggle. And I just remember when we would have practices, you'd be my go-to person like the week before patch because you'd already be playing in the PvE. You'd already know all the changes and everything. And you'd be like, all right, Kamil, you have your 15 minutes. What's coming up? What are we going to need to play? Because for whatever reason, we always had our game days on patch day. So we had to know what was the new thing we needed to ban or the new thing we need to play in that case for that. So
what do you mean for what reason? You're the one who ran the league. You decided the match days, Todd.
Not all of them. We played in more than just the Illinois League.
Oh, really?
Yes. We used to play in Star League. We used to play in IHSEA.
Back when Star League existed. Ooh, wow.
Yeah. So we played in many leagues throughout the time when I started at Taft. So it wasn't until he was a senior that he actually played in Illinois. So... but yeah, so that was always the big takeaway for me that I had from you is I was, I think I talked you up to Courtney when you said you were going to DePaul. I think I messaged her and said, oh, hey, you got this really cool kid coming that, he could be a great resource and a great player for your team because you just kind of knew everything. You were still maintaining straight A's and also, being able to understand and play league at a top level. And at that time, you were a top laner. Now you're starting mid laner. How is that going?
It's going fine for now. We've at least during the last 2 years. I'm not going to talk about the tournaments during the coronavirus because I was kind of unmotivated because of the whole thing I explained previously, where it's a whole different atmosphere. Yeah. But when we were actually in the lab, it's just a lot more enjoyable to play, and it honestly is just more fun too because you're there with your peers, and then they're motivated, you're motivated to win, and we have won, and we've also lost, but you take everything together as a team. You experience your losses together and your wins together.
Yeah,
I actually just found one of your medals the other day because we we've been working to like update everything, and I was like, oh, here, because we were supposed to get it hung up before obviously March hit. But yeah, this is one of the League of Legends past championship medals too.
Nobody in chat asks about trophies. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Kamil, I think, brings up, well, he's in an interesting spot too, because our facility is located in our Loop campus. But Kamil, I imagine most of your classes are in Lincoln Park, right?
Yeah, well, right now they're online, but
but like
they're all in Lincoln Park,
yeah. So if you don't know anything about DePaul has essentially split campus, where it's not two campus, it's one campus. So it's very normal for our students to go between the Loop and Lincoln Park campuses. So our College of Science and Health, which I assume is where your program is housed, right? Yep, is located in our Lincoln Park campus. And then a normal day might look like taking a 15-20 minute train ride downtown to the Loop. For practice, competition, whatever that might look like. But I think, for what it's worth, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say we've done some, data research and looking at what our students' grades are and really what their experiences look like. And we assumed that there would be some trends that were happening in the space. One, we assumed students were going to spend like all day there every day. College is much more unstructured time than high school, right? There's no bells, like it's on you to go to class. But what we really found was like the average time that students are spending in the gaming center is about 1.6 hours, which is actually right around the same amount of time that a class would be. So what that would mean is like they go to class in the morning, they take a break, they come to the gaming center instead of going somewhere else. And then the other thing I think that's really important, especially in a community that's as large as us, the average GPA of our student gamers at DePaul is 3.2, which is the same GPA as the average DePaul student, So I think that it's this place where students have been able to, be motivated by their peers as well to make sure that they're studying, make sure that their grades are up, so that they can maintain those same high standards and, be eligible to play in these games and to really take advantage of that high quality DePaul education too.
And a question I actually have related to that is there a overwhelming trend of common majors among these students in esports, in like the competitive side of things, or is it a wide swath?
Yeah. So I think that we lean more towards the College of Computing and Digital Media. That's where we see most of our majors, but that includes, game programming, game design, but also like film and television. We have quite a few majors who are film and television majors as well. But I think one of the things that's really surprising is if you look at our rosters, there is no single roster that is all majors from the same college. Like,
really?
Yeah, if you give me a second here, like our Smash rosters, it's really interesting to look at because they have people from communication, they have some liberal arts majors, they have a graduate student from community psychology.
Jeez.
Yeah, it really, and I think because DePaul has 10 academic colleges as well, which for high school, it's high school students, if you don't know. So there's when you have a university, universities will have different colleges that have different focuses and different academic programs. So DePaul has 10 of those. So it ranges from everything from communication to College of Science and Health, education. We have a couple people who are preparing to be teachers who are on our teams. It really runs the gamut.
Losing players to student teaching is going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Because you cannot keep a competitive schedule and be a student teacher at the same time. That will not fly by any university supervisor.
Yeah. But it's been cool to see for a lot of our students too. Like, we have some students who are studying to be journalists, and they're starting to write articles for their classes that directly relate to esports. So they're having this chance. Again, like I hate to be a broken record, but it goes back to this like concept of like going pro in something other than sports. Like the place that you go and the education that you get matters, and like that's your foundation for everything. So it's really important, I think, to have that opportunity to get that high quality education.
Yeah, I definitely think that's awesome that's one of the things that you guys have, and you have the diversity on esports. It's not all just CS majors and technology people, and that you do have that wide range of of majors and interest in there, because that's kind of what keeps it alive. If it's all just CS majors, it feels like a CS club and CS type thing, and then it also might not feel as inclusive, especially because the CS department is probably so heavily dominated by males, just because that's how the industry is, and everyone's trying to change that. But if you did have that, then it would feel like you're an outsider if you're a female or a minority possibly trying to break into that role, and that's awesome. And I did catch part of your presentation when you presented for UCI on data, and I, after the fact, I was like, oh my god, I wish I would have watched the whole thing, because I was like, that's all really great data that you're keeping track of. Did you want to cover like some of the most interesting findings? I know you covered some of them, but you literally are tracking everything with all of your esports kids, which was really cool.
Yeah. Well, and actually, Todd, I think that when you talk about diversity in particular, like that is something like that we take really seriously at DePaul as well. You know, we're a Vincentian institution, which means that we talk about honoring the human dignity of all people. It's in our mission. We're very mission driven, and part of what we really, how we incorporate that in our esports program is really making a space for everyone, and not only making a space for everyone, but intentionally developing programs and services that welcome those people in. So we've really had a focus on welcoming women into the community. We, you know, it's you know, everybody's probably well aware it's a space that's dominated by men. But women actually at DePaul come back at a higher rate of return in our spaces than men do, because they find that community and they find that place and they find people that they connect to. So we've been working to really develop, again, you know, programs and opportunities that are specifically designed for female identifying students. So we have a great organization called IHSEA. They're actually doing a program this Friday night, Women in Tech panel, that they're going to be talking about that, you know, talking about gaming, talking about careers, talking about all of those different issues. But it is something that we take a lot of pride in, and especially for, you know, students who are part of historically marginalized backgrounds. We also want to make sure that, you know, they that we are intentionally designing spaces for those students as well. You know, so one of the things that's interesting about DePaul's program, about I think our current numbers, about 40% of our students who are part of our esports program identify as white. The other 60% identify as other, you know, races and different part or different races other than white. So we really do take it seriously and think about, like, how can we create spaces that are welcoming to all people. And it is something that we've seen. You know, it's a slow move and it's a slow progression. Change doesn't happen overnight, right? But we've been trying to intentionally design a pipeline for people, and again, women, people on the margins, to feel welcomed and part of the community. So that's a little bit about some of the data that we've been talking about. But I think the one that I think is most important, and it goes back to Kamil was talking about this with community. There was a nationwide survey a few years back that said that 47% of students who are involved in gaming and esports aren't involved in anything else on campus. Well, we ran that survey here at DePaul with a targeted population, and what we found was that 48% of our students, so right on track with the national average, 48% of our students aren't doing anything else other than esports and gaming on campus. And that's huge, right? Like, when you think about 1,300 people, that's almost 750 students that this is all they're doing. Yep. So we really do want to make sure that we're creating spaces and opportunities for them to engage while they're here at DePaul.
Yeah. And it's been really interesting for me to see a lot of students in my club who, I have 70 plus kids now, so around 70, and all but 4 of them, this is the only thing they do. Mm-hmm. And with high school, I think it's a bigger divide because they're bound to the schedule of parents. They usually go like, I only get to do this one thing. But even with that, I have maybe 3 or 4 other players who even do any other athletics, or most of them are in other clubs, but athletics especially. I got a lot of weird looks from the other athletics coaches when I walk into the coaches meeting, because I'm part of the athletics department, and like, what do you coach? I coach esports. You coach what? Mm-hmm. And like, they asked me, like, are you going to steal so and so player? I'm like, probably, because a lot of them are really interested in it. And so I've actually had coaches where I've had to like work out time sharing agreements for their students, like football kids, where I'd like, okay, I get him on Wednesdays because it's match days, and I'll give you him on Tuesdays. It's just a weird thing to think about how many students see this as their connection to the school culture as a whole.
Yeah, and I totally think it brings in that group, like you said. It's something like 40%. That's the only thing they do for me and most of the programs that I've run. Like at Taft, when we had esports and when we were really big, like I had a very small group of kids who did any other club. Like and Taft has like over 100 clubs, and with esports, most of the kids would only be there for esports, and they wouldn't be in any sports teams. They wouldn't be part of anything else. I think maybe it was like 10% that actually did anything else. And so it's really important to have that community aspect of it. And that's always what we stress, as a state in Illinois. It's like I always tell other people, are like, oh, we want to know about your organization. I'm like, well, first come join our community on Discord, because that's where we thrive, and we try to invite people in. And yeah, it does take, somebody was talking about it before, and that it takes like 15 hours of being in Discord to actually understand any of it. Because Discord is a whole different beast for most people, and if you're not used to it definitely takes a while to understand what is going on and all the channels and this and that. But we invite them to the community, and then they start asking questions, having conversations, and then lead to side conversations and DMing other coaches and getting feedback. And that's what we want to create. It's just that big community where you can reach out and ask anyone, and find some friends, and make some lifelong friends. Some of the kids that had played in our league have still remained friends to this day and still play with each other when they're playing their flex games in league, or just playing normal games or whatnot. But just because they created that relationship from being,
we also force kids to be friends, because we stick them in a room together for how many hours?
Yeah.
And I have some Overwatch players who weren't really fond of each other our first year. Now 3 years on, they're actually friends, and it's weird to think, because it was looking pretty close to like, hey, I'm gonna have to tell one of them to step back a bit because they hate each other. But no, they're really good friends now. So it's weird to see them like develop friendships, because you basically locked them in a room together for how many hours?
I would even say that, like, if you look into the DePaul Discord right now, there's always something going on in like the general chat, and all these people are just interacting because they have something in common, and like that part of it just like feels really nice. And especially, I think we host in-houses for league once or twice, or once a week, or once every 2 weeks or something, and people are always willing to play with each other because there's that commonality in it too.
Yeah, and it's really just awesome to see students bonding over that and trying to become friends with that, and that relationship they build with their teammates as well as coaches. A vast majority, because as a teacher, it's different for me, where I recruited my first year mostly from my classes. But like as a teacher, it's really weird to see that a vast majority of my players now are not my students, and given our online situation, have never even seen me. And they still put their trust in me for this. And so it's really cool to see a lot of students developing that trust system over just the internet.
Mm.
Yeah, and then another thing that I always stress doing is making sure, going back to that diversity, is trying to get more females involved in esports, and always welcoming any girls, no matter what game they're playing or what they're doing, and welcoming them into the team, and making sure that they are protected in there, and making sure that kids aren't harassing them because they're the girl that plays League and that they're really good, or the girl that plays Overwatch or whatever, and making sure that no, they're just a gamer, just like you. They just happen to be of the female background, or they identify as a female. And I think that's really important. And that's one of the things I want to stress to people in Illinois. And, as I see the kids coming in, and, in our Discord, we use real names, so we can see the people who identify as female in there. And it's really important to them to be part of esports and be part of this and be welcomed as a whole. And that's kind of part of the reason why we're doing a lot of these secondary podcast. We're doing collegiate, and then I also have a lot of people from the pro in I have one pro lined up already to be on the cast in a couple weeks, but then also several people from the industry in esports or gaming. Next week we actually have Lana Baczynski, who is a senior animator at Riot Games. And I want to have her on to talk about what it's like being a female and being in gaming and being in a gaming studio. So I think it's really cool to invite some of these people on to get their take, so that we can then talk to the girls that are in high school, like, oh, I don't want to go work for a game company because that's just for guys and this and that. But to try and break that stigma, to let them know that, yes, it's okay for you to do that, and you have a right to be there if you want to be there.
Man, I gotta look at our podcast schedule more. I forgot about that.
Yeah, like I said earlier,
it's really cool. I can't imagine how you swung that, but it's really cool.
Yeah, I posted on Twitter. I was like, we have every Wednesday is booked from now until Christmas break, and I'm already lining up stuff for January. So I'm really excited for what this is going to turn into, and hopefully be a resource for kids in Illinois, and whether it's for college or for high school kids or for kids anywhere. I mean, I want to focus on the Illinois schools first because that's where most of our kids are going to end up going, and then we'll open it up to everyone else if we're still going at that point.
So, Courtney and Kamil, I want to ask you a question. What's the path for students from a high school scene to hit a collegiate scene in esports and find success? What's the path for that? And what's the steps they have to take? Do they have to just go blast Twitter DM to every coach they can find?
Honestly, for me, how I got into, well, for one, like Todd said, he like introduced me to Courtney and like threw my name out there, but mainly just becoming part of the Discord and then going into tryouts is like the best way to, I guess, try out for a team. And then like my freshman year, I tried out late too, because I didn't know that the whole thing was going on, and they still took me in, and I transitioned from a top laner to a mid laner. They helped me through it, and like it's honestly just mainly the people on the teams that help you out, and back to community where everyone's so willing to help you, and they're willing to work with you, most importantly, because some individuals are just not as patient and might say like, you're not ready for this, wait till next year, but instead they're willing to progress through it.
Yeah, and I think when I think about the pathway, I also think about like, that transition from going from high school to college. And I think that, right now, great way to put it, the sexy thing is esports scholarships. And esports scholarships are great, but I would encourage students to look at their entire scholarship package, because a place like DePaul, we offer really generous financial aid to about 93% of our students. But our international students are a little bit different, but again, knowing that most of our listeners are potentially from Illinois here, we offer really generous financial aid. So an institution that you're looking at, pick your place for where you want to study and where you're going to be able to get that high quality degree and that rigorous academic program, whether it be DePaul or somewhere else, and then figure out what that comprehensive scholarship program is. Because if you're going, to a state institution, private institution, wherever you end up, your entire package matters. A $2,000-$3,000 esports scholarship might not look as great when you're looking at a full package. So I would say figure out, where do you want to go? Where is it that has those programs? And then, like Kamil said, at a place like DePaul, we do tryouts in the fall. So we actually just launched it for the first time this year. We had a coordinated tryout effort where you tell us, I'm interested in participating in this team or teams. And I say teams because some of our Overwatch guys tried out for both Overwatch and Valorant and like as an FPS game. But you find that pipeline that way, and then you can try out and you can find out what the structure is, whether you go into the academy level, JV level, varsity from the get-go, very similar, to other structures of academy, JV, varsity level programs and what that pipeline looks like. But you look there and then you just start getting connected. At a place like DePaul, we have a lot of recreational leagues throughout the summer so that you can get to know people. We have something called the DePaul Gaming League. So even before tryouts, you're welcomed to come in and get to know the community and connect. And a lot of our groups do pugs, pickup games, different, just things going on. And especially for admitted students, they're always welcomed for that from the second they really get admitted in the spring until they start in the fall. And because our goal is for this to just be part of their experience from the very beginning. I think for a long time, people tried to talk about like getting esports students involved in other things, but it's okay if this is it. If this is your thing, be great at this, right? Dive headfirst, become a president of an organization, captain of a team, get involved and really dive headfirst. But that's what I see the pipeline really looking like.
And that's something I always want to talk about with anyone who comes on here is what's their talk about pipelines, because something I look for when I'm talking to my players about scholarships and the path here and trying to get recruiting is always look at academics first. And if you're going to go there just for esports and not for the degree, So pretty high likelihood you're not making professional scene given how small professional scene is. So look at the degree first, please. And that's the biggest one is whenever I have recruiters pop up, I always look at what's your major selection and what can I tell my students about courses offered. And with DePaul being as large as it is, there's not a lot of things you don't do on a broad sort of scale. Not a lot of courses you don't do. So students can find a home there for a lot of programs.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's what, and look at things as a high school student, I never thought about this as a high school student, but you want to look at things at like job placement rates, right? Like you want to know from a college, what is the likelihood that when you graduate with that piece of paper that somebody's going to look at and say, yes, this one matters, right? So you want to look at colleges that have either high placement rates or high acceptance rates into graduate school, because like a lot of people, the undergraduate degree is just part of it, and they plan to do something further or something more. So you want to, again, think about if you're not planning to go pro in gaming, like what's that next step and how is college your foundation for it?
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I think that definitely is really important because especially when we first started doing esports in Illinois and just, for my esports teams, looking at some of the colleges and like, okay, where is your school at and what majors do you have? And it's like, as you see, most of the kids are CS or, digital media or that college, but you go to that school and they don't have any of that. They don't even have like a technology degree because, they're a small private school. And it's like, okay, well, you're giving me a scholarship and it's not even a full ride and you want me to go here. Like, my team ended up, I don't know if you were on that team or not, Kamil, but we ended up winning a tournament for a certain college, and it was like, well, no one wants to go here, so why did we even waste time in that tournament? Because, that's kind of how it was when it first started up. Oh, come, you can get $10,000 scholarship if you win this tournament, but they only tell you that it's for their school and their school alone for an esports scholarship.
I was in that tournament. Yeah, we won that one.
Yeah, okay, so I wasn't sure if you were in that one, but I was like, yeah, great, we won it, but nobody went to that school after that, and there's nothing that you could get from that. So yeah, definitely you want to look at the schools, and a school as prestigious as DePaul, I think it's really important to know that you do have that wide selection of majors to choose from, and you do have choice, and it is, located in the heart of Chicago. So I think it's, really, it's a really good location for Illinois. It's not like it's, down in, central Illinois.
And those Central Illinois schools are great.
Hey.
Finally,
right. Huh?
That's where I am right now. Calm down.
Great. I mean, I went to Augustana for my undergrad. I went to Western Illinois for graduate school. And I got a spectacular education because, again, those were the programs that I was looking for. Right. So you just got to find your fit. You find your fit and just do your research. And I think, now more than ever, especially, with student loans and everything else, like you're making a commitment moving forward. So you want to get something out of your investment. College is an investment in yourself. So you just want to make sure that you're making the best decision for you.
Yeah,
awesome.
Definitely. I always have to razz Keith about being down there. It's just fun. This is what I do every week.
Hey, so I grew up in the burbs and I moved down here because it's where I got a job, and not a bad place, although you didn't hear it because it actually stopped before we went live, but there's a combine about 20 feet that way. And he is going loud right now, and like when he sweeps by, my window lights up because he has a light bar that's like the size of my car. And so I have to be very mindful of that when I'm driving on these roads at night, is I could hit a combine and not really see it.
That's definitely a Central Illinois problem.
Yeah, I have corn.
We don't have those in Chicago.
I have corn that direction, and that direction.
Yeah.
I only don't have corn in the direction of town.
So the other thing I did want to talk about real quick about DePaul's program, and because they're so entrenched in Chicago, is that they do a lot of programs to help out Chicago youth. I know you guys do a lot of stuff with the high schools. I'm actually, a little biased here because I am a project coordinator from DePaul's program that they're working on right now to get more of a curriculum-based esports program into Chicago Public Schools that's also focused around social emotional learning and kind of tying those two together, which I think is really a great fit for esports because it's stuff that we're doing already, and it's, like we talked about before, a lot of these kids haven't been coached before. They haven't, really taken the next step to elevate from just playing with friends to actually competing and knowing what that's like. So through this curriculum, I think it's really great. And, by being part of this program, just looking and seeing all of the other stuff that DePaul has been doing that I just haven't noticed before, I think it's really cool that they're so invested in the city that they really want to, raise everyone up, especially from the high school and the kids who aren't there yet at DePaul.
Well, and I think that one of the main reasons that we go out and we do a lot of different community events is we also want people to see their pipeline, right? Like we want them to see this as a future. And, I think about some of the places, of course, pre-COVID that we would go and represent the program at, like one of the things that we go to, I don't know if you're familiar with Social Works. It is a community organization that really focuses on, kids on the South Side, families on the South Side. We went to an event called A Night at the Museum that they do at the Museum of Science and Industry annually. And we had the opportunity to do what we call a pop-up gaming lounge there. And again, the whole hope was that, kids there, kids mostly from the South Side could see that pipeline and see how like what they're doing right now would eventually lead to a career or like lead to a college career. And again, whether it's at DePaul or someone else, we just want to show that pipeline exists. And we do a lot of other community events too. One of my favorites is C2E2, which is Chicago's Comic and Entertainment Expo. DePaul partners with I Play Games. Kevin Fair over there has invited us to be part of it, and we're part of the gaming zone. And we have the chance typically to do some panels to talk about careers in esports or other components. This past year we did a PC build one. But again, it's all about showcasing like whether it's DePaul or somewhere else, you have this pipeline and you have this future that you can have that has this opportunity to do something, to incorporate something that you love. And I think we've been really fortunate. And now with this new D-Sports program, Todd, I just think it's going to elevate that even further, because I think it's going to give back to people. So now it's more than just showcasing the pipeline. Now it's truly about development and growth, which I think is going to be really, really, really powerful.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is that if you've graduated from this D-Sports program, that you've been basically given all of the things that you would need in a college to succeed, for an esports and for a personal standpoint, that you have been given all of these things and these guys to help get you through to that point. So I think it's really important to focus on, and that's one of the reasons why I took the position being the coordinator, is because it really is something that a lot of the kids are lacking in school right now. And I think it will be great once we can get through COVID and actually run the program the way we wanted to when we first started talking. It's right now. We just launched this week, so now we're gonna see how it's gonna go through COVID. But
yeah, they had a Rocket League tournament a few weeks back too, I think.
Yeah, we had our launch party, and then we did a little Rocket League tournament afterwards. So that went really well. We had a lot of good reception from the students and parents. So we're excited for what it kicks off. But a lot of the kids would so much rather be at school, like Keith was talking about, being at school and having that people, and just like Kamil was talking about, being next to the person while you're learning and playing and doing all this stuff. So I think it's gonna be pretty fun. But we'll have to see how it goes while we're still doing remote learning.
It's not gonna stop anytime soon either.
Yeah.
Gotta get that vaccine, right?
Take a lot of things.
That's a podcast for another day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else I had to say. There was something I was going to ask Kamil, and now I had forgot. How
much do you miss having him in class?
What was that?
How much do you miss having Todd as a teacher?
It's up there on my list of things I want to go back to.
Yeah, I definitely miss because you were there when we first got the lab too, so you actually got to use the lab in its pristine condition when we got the chairs and everything. So that was like my big accomplishment at Taft, was to get that and just have people like, oh my God, we have this. And when we actually were able to play there and do all that stuff, I think that was really the best. And I'm kind of going to tie it back right in. Is we also did at Taft, and I wanted to do it at my school too, but we can't do it obviously right now, is I did coming up this week, we have Extra Life. I don't know if you guys know what Extra Life is, but it's the pledge to raise money for Children's Hospital, and you pledge people pledge money to you, and me, as I would end up playing games for 24 hours straight. So this Saturday I'm starting at 9 a.m. and we'll be playing games 24 hours straight to raise money for Laurie's Hospital downtown. I think I just did the total earlier because my students were asking me in class. I think I've raised almost $9,000 now in the 6 years I've been doing it. I'm hoping to raise at least another $2,000 this year for Laurie's Hospital. But it's one thing that we also did at Taft is we made a group and a club and collectively ended up raising that year. I think we ended up raising like almost $4,000 or $3,000, and we would have an event at school. We'd say we wouldn't do 24 hours because it's high school and there's chaperones and permits for that, but we do 2 12-hour ones throughout the course of the year, one in the fall and one in the spring. And I think it was cool because we let kids bring in their own PCs, their own Xboxes, their own TVs, and they can bring all their friends. They just had to meet a minimum donation to Extra Life and have their account, like I think it was like $25 or $30 or something like that, in order for them to get a spot reserved. And we'd be there from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. or the one year we did 10 a.m. until 10 p.m. And the kids loved it. And they're, like, oh my God, I'm raising money. They were streaming it themselves on the lab. And, they were having, they were streaming on the Taft account when, I'd be taking a break because I'd be on the main account playing games. And then I go take a break and another student be streaming. Like we had Brawlhalla streaming for a while because that was one of the students' games. And so I think it's just another way to tie in esports. It's also to show them that there's opportunities to give back, like DePaul is doing with esports, but there's other opportunities where you can still have fun and still raise money and able to give back to the community in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on our short list of things we're hoping to add this year. We're doing a different charity stream as part of a tournament we're launching called the Vincentian Cup. There's 3 Vincentian institutions in the United States, DePaul, St. John's, and Niagara University. The other 2 are in New York. But so we're doing our first charity stream this year as part of that. But Lurie's actually is very close to the heart of a lot of DePaul community members. We have another student organization called Demonthon that I think at this point they've raised over, honestly, it's been close to like $2 million for the hospital. So we're hoping to add on Extra Life and gaming as part of some of those efforts that we do to support Lurie's, because we've been really lucky with our student organization, Demonthon, so far. And I think it's going to be a great natural partnership. And I know Todd Ross was sharing some information about Extra Life as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely I found out about Extra Life probably about like 9 years ago. Like one of the podcasters did it, and I'm like, oh, that sounds like fun. And then I just never got to it. And now I usually end up having a big party at my house when I stream. I usually have like a camera out in the living room because I have my stepbrothers, my father, like friends. Like last year we played board games for like 8 hours together in my dining room. And I had the camera and the mic set up out there. So it was really awesome to have an event and just to be able to do it at school or something like that. And I think, again, making that community, making everyone feel like part of something and for a good cause, I think it's really awesome.
Okay, we're getting pretty close to our time cap here, I think.
Yeah, we're about an hour, and that's usually where we try to keep these, depending on how it's going. Courtney, is there any last things that you want to say about DePaul, what kids should do if they want to attend DePaul, either for a visit or see what the esports stuff is like, if and whenever it's back and open?
Yeah, so you can go to esports.depaul.edu. That's our main page for our esports program. Right now we're working on getting our rosters updated for all of our teams, so those should be on shortly. But if you want to go there right now, you can learn a little bit more. You can find our specs for our gaming center, see a little bit more about like our DePaul Gaming League, stuff like that. And then our Discord is discord.gg/DePaul Esports. So you can check that out as well. DePaul is open, for campus tours if people are interested. We're doing them in obviously much smaller groups of people right now. But if you're on that DePaul Esports website, you can route to the main page and find out more information about that. We are right now. I'm pretty excited about this. We have a student project. We're working on getting a virtual tour of our gaming center with some different specs of the program. So we just did the filming for it this past week, and it's going to be completely student produced. So hopefully we're going to have that here in the next couple of weeks so that people can see around our facility a little bit and learn a little bit more about the program.
That's awesome.
Then I would be remiss if I didn't talk or give Kamil a chance to also talk about our League of Legends team and our other varsity teams, because we're competing right now. We're in full season for Rocket League, Rocket League, Overwatch, and Smash are competing as part of EGF, the Electronic Gaming Federation. And then I'll leave it to Kamil to talk a little bit about League of Legends.
Yep, that was where I was going to finish with him. I was like, oh, Kamil, tell us when League starts, because I always actually enjoy watching you guys play.
Yeah, I mean, I can only speak for League, but we've definitely been trying to improve recently. As we've mentioned earlier, that we've had tryouts. We have a few new people on our roster because I think one graduated last year, and then one had to move back to his home country. So we're dealing with that now. We have a couple of teams that are playing for the, I guess they're called what is the word I'm looking for? Well, we have varsity and then the lower team.
The academy.
Academy. There you go. Thank you. So they're also playing, trying their hardest. And honestly, to anyone that is interested in esports or to get involved in a gaming community, definitely to reach out. And everyone's definitely willing to help you grow and just get involved.
Awesome. When does your official League of Legends season? I think they just started signups, right? It's not until spring. Is it February?
Honestly, I don't know. That's all my captain of my team that does all that. So.
I see.
Yeah, it is in the spring. I know that part because we just got the link for sign up because we League of Legends goes into the tournament through the Big East. So signups are due, and Kamil, will be great for you to tell Joel too. They're due, I think, mid-December for us to start up in the spring.
I think he's listening, so.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah, and our League of Legends little team will be in action as part of the Vincentian Cup, and then we have another tournament with now Roosevelt, since might be aware, RMU. So we're doing the State Street Showdown. This is our second year, and our league team will be featured as part of that as well. I think the date is February 20th.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, and I know definitely once things open back up, I definitely would love to bring my kids down to DePaul to check out it and invite anyone too. Because I remember you guys were always like, we'd always end up going to Robert Morris, and you guys said, you guys can come right down the street to ours. We have stuff too, and it's like, yeah, I know, but we've been just doing it here for now 3 years, and so now with them going over to Roosevelt, and depending on how the program looks over there, we definitely will be looking into DePaul a little bit more too, especially now that I have a lot more connections there than I did before.
Yeah, come on over.
For sure. So yeah, no, I'm definitely excited to see that, because I know that was the one thing I didn't know, because obviously you guys are part of the Big East, the League of Legends tournament, and so I didn't know when that was when that actually started, because I know it's usually near the same schedule as the other one, but there's not always the exact crossover. So I'm definitely excited for you guys. I'm excited to see what's going to happen this year, and good luck on everything from here on out.
Thanks for having us.
Yep, just wanted to shout out my boy Holy Nine Man. So there you go.
Thanks, Martin. All right, guys. Have a great night. Thanks again for being here with us, Courtney and Kamil. It was a pleasure having you guys on the podcast. If you guys ever need anything, feel free to reach out. Again, you can join the DePaul Discord if you're interested in finding out more information about that, or just seeing what they have to offer for esports. If you're interested in going, or reach out to Courtney or DePaul on Twitter. They are DePaul Esports. If you guys have anything else, you have the links posted in chat. And have a great night. We'll see you guys later.